Hi guys, it's Mike Huck. Thank you so much for joining me again. Today we're going to go through some back to school tips for those of you heading to school or those of you parents with young kids. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My parents are both doctors. We have a lot of doctors in my family, my brother and I, so we know a little bit about studying and a little bit about how to apply yourself. So I'm going to share with you some of our top tips. First of all, I want to apologize to you. I still got my wristband on from a very exclusive screening with Pharrell and Kevin Costner's new film, Hidden Figures. Now, a lot of people don't know this. I did not know this, that with the space launch, NASA's space launch, the integral people behind the math were actually 3 African-American women. And I thought, what a great story where these women really broke so many barriers and only now are getting recognition. It's a little bit sad that it's taking this long for us to get there, but we're getting there. So we should congratulate ourselves that we're really giving these women the props that they deserve. So my purpose in bringing that up is to apologize, because that's this little white band that you see. And by the way, Pharrell was great in concert. Would recommend it. He's fantastic, a terrific singer and an artist. The other thing is, doesn't matter who you are, whether you're black, white, girl, or boy, we can all succeed at school. So let's get right into it and some of the things that I used to be a successful student and that I teach my students. First of all, the thing that's really important is your schedule, guys. Okay? So you need to know with your schedule what you're doing and when. Okay, so the way I did it, we didn't have the iPods, iPads, the Googles, all that, but you can still do it on there. What I did is just made a calendar, and you create a cross, blocks across, and then you create whatever course it is, say math or English, and then you have your milestones. So for example, you might have an exam in 2 weeks, and then you have a Christmas essay due. So you're creating a framework of where you're going to go. So as the old saying goes, if you don't know where you're going, you're probably going to end up somewhere else. So this is a template for you to use. And I encourage parents of young kids, or even if you're starting out in middle school or high school, set out these goals and you set out your calendar. And that calendar is going to involve the imposed goals, for example, exams and essays, but also your study plan. So what you're going to do is you mark out, okay, I'm going to get to this chapter by this time, and you mark it out, and I want you to make sure that you treat weekends the same as weekdays. Each of those are work days for you. So it could be a Saturday or Sunday, but if you're a student and you make those sacrifices like I did and so many of my classmates did, we're having our 25-year med school reunion, Friday night not partying or Saturday night not partying, it actually helped me. I'll tell you a quick personal story. It was a Sunday morning when a lot of people were hungover because they were partying the night before, and I was looking for a place to study, and everywhere was closed. I was walking in the library, and a professor found me. He said, "Who are you coming in here at this time?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to study." Long story short, or maybe it's too late, maybe it's already too long. However, he saw me, he was so impressed, he wrote me a letter of reference, gave me a job in his lab, which actually was a year before everybody else. So it actually helped me immensely, and it was just an adage that I heard from one of the football players that was a physician when I was at Michigan State. My friend Tony, he was an excellent doctor, an excellent football player. And I asked him, I said, "Tony, how do you manage being a Michigan State football player and going to med school?" He goes, "Doc, I keep my head down. I know if I work hard, good things are going to happen." Keep that in your mind, folks, as a mantra. You work hard, good things are going to happen. Okay, so that's a really key point. And to make good things happen, you got to have your schedule. We'll get in, if you subscribe to my course, The Path, we talk about SMART goals and stretch goals. Let's jump off of this, folks. And so scheduling is really important. And then I want to get right into the beef of some studying techniques. Okay, and this helped me immensely. This is called an SQ3R method. I discussed it with my brother, who's a successful, actually world-famous plastic surgeon that worked on one of the first second hand transplant actually in the world. And he is a genius. I remember as kids, he could solve the Rubik's Cube in under a minute. He's gifted. All of us have certain gifts we can work on. It's nature and nurture. So we can work. We have gifts that are inherent to us, and we have things that we can develop. And SQ3R is survey. So any material that you got a new text or book, you survey it. I tell people read the first chapter and the last chapter and the first couple of lines of every chapter in between. Okay? So survey, question, So you generate some questions in your text or your material. For example, when I teach the medical students, they might have a case of a patient with chest pain. Questions they ask. What kind of chest pain is it? How do we investigate it? Where is it located? How is chest pain treated? So our brains are wired to give ourselves answers to questions. So if you listen to our program, The Path, it is one way for us to become more positive. So when we wake up in the morning, ask ourselves, oh no, why do I have to work so hard? First of all, we don't ask ourselves why questions. We ask what or how. And when we ask ourselves that, we will find the answer that assumes we're working hard in a job we don't like. Instead, we ask ourselves, what can I do today to make it the best day ever? When you do that, your brain will come up with an answer of what you can do. So when you ask yourself questions about the material, that is the best way to make it yours. Okay? So 3 R's. So you're going to read the material. Okay? Then read, recite. So you're going to read it out to yourself, go back over it, and then review. So one of my classmates is in med school. He always, before starting his study session from Tuesday, he went back to the material for Monday and re-reviewed it. Okay, folks? So it's called an SQ3R method. And this is something that you can do at any grade, at any level. And you incorporate that into your schedule. And we'll talk about modeling. Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. I had a friend, Judith. She was a couple of years ahead of me. Her family was from England. And she really helped me. Just these tips. She said, you know, get to university, take aside 3 to 4 hours every night, and you study every night. That's it. So no questions. Sacrifice now so you can enjoy later. Okay? So with your timing, whether you're in junior high or in high school, set aside a couple hours. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to do 3 hours. I'm going to do all my schoolwork, and that's time. That's your work time. So whether you got cheerleading practice or basketball, say from 6 to 9 o'clock at night, you're going to set this aside as study time. Okay, so you got to schedule that time so you can win. You work hard now so you can win later. Okay, and then we're going to go through how I mark my pages. For those of you that just keep notes, I'll show you. This is where we record when you're going to a lecture, so you're recording things here. And then I like to write important questions here. So when I'm watching a video, or if I'm watching a video from one of my mentors whom I've met and trained under, Tony Robbins, Brendan Bouchard, great guys, I will have a question. I say, I wonder what Brendan did here. So I'll write that to myself, and then I always do a little summary down here. So that when it comes time to write a paper, or when it comes time for the exam, oftentimes I can just go to the summary pages. And so this type of method that I used for note-taking has been very helpful in my many years as a student. And those are some of the study tips that I think are really important. Let's wrap things up here with just a quick summary. Set aside time to succeed. For students, for parents, this is a template that you can use. So I'm not somebody that's telling you, oh, you can do these things. I've done all these things. My parents, my mother, my father, we're all doctors. We know the studying business. So I'm telling you, you do these things, you will be successful, your kids will be successful. So thank you so much for turning into this video and listening. We've got tons of free stuff on the website, and we have some other videos for back to school time. So everybody get back to school, and thank you so much.